Hi everybody, welcome to our diabetes webinar today. I'm excited to be here with you and share this information that's going to be able to help change your life forever. I'm Dr. Dale Kelly and I'm the owner and founder of Balanced Health Solutions. My practice is located in Reno, Nevada, and for the past 30 years I've been helping patients not only in Reno but across the country get their lives back by finding out the root cause of your health problems and start correcting the problems rather than just giving you another pill or drug to cover up a symptom. So I'm excited that you guys are here with our diabetes webinar today. We're going to share a lot of information with you that's going to be able to help you get your life back on track. The first thing you need to understand about this webinar is this is not going to be a sales pitch for a new wonder pill or cure for your diabetes. There is no magic pill that's going to fix your diabetes. Not in my world, not in the medical world, not online. There is no magic pill. This is also not going to be, hey, just buy my book and a do-it-yourself cookie-cutter diabetes program. There's a lot of those online, and frankly, it is a cookie-cutter program, and it's not specific for you. I don't do that. I work one-on-one with every single patient to help you guys get your lives back. So what I'm going to do today in this webinar is I'm going to teach you the truth about diabetes and why you're really not getting better. I'm going to explain to you what the real problems are, why you have diabetes in the first place, and I'm going to show you what you can do now to start taking your health back. Mark Twain said, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble, it's what you know for sure that just ain't so." So my goal today is to teach you some things that just ain't so in the world of diabetes and maybe open up your eyes to something different that you hadn't thought of before. So why are you guys really on this webinar today? What really made you click on that Facebook ad? What made you say, hey, I'm going to go check this out? There's got to be something, some big underlying reason why. And it can't just be, yeah, I'm just bored and I want to do something. I know there's a reason why you guys are on this webinar today. And I want you to really think about what your big why is. Why do you want to do something different? Why do you want to get better? There has to be a big reason why. So as you think about your big why, I'm going to share with you my big why I'm on this webinar with you here today. My wife, Chris, and I have been married for 37 years now, and we raised 4 boys when we were going through school. Now we have, in addition to our 4 boys, we have 3 daughter-in-laws and 4 grandkids. This picture was our 4th grandchild's baby shower, so she's not in the picture yet, but she's around now. When I was first in practice, back in 1992, about 5 years into practice, I was working really hard. We had a young family. I would work all day and go home and play the kids and help raise our family. And I started losing energy, and I couldn't figure out what was going on with me. I was still in my early 30s at this time, and I just couldn't get through the day. I would work all day and come home and collapse in the recliner, and I couldn't figure out why I was losing energy. So I went to my doctor, and he ran the standard blood tests, and you guys have all heard this story because I know you all live it. He said, hey, there's nothing wrong. You know, maybe you're depressed. We need to put you on antidepressant or something. I said, no, that's not the problem. There's still something going on. We just haven't found the answer. So thankfully, he sent me over to a specialist in town, and that specialist did some additional blood work on me. And long story short, found out that I had a brain tumor. And that brain tumor was the reason why I had no energy. That brain tumor was affecting all my hormone levels. That brain tumor was putting pressure on my optic nerve, affecting my vision. And that brain tumor was really messing up my life. So the doctor told me at the time, we have 2 options for you. We can send you over to the neurosurgeon, and he can open up the middle of your brain and try and cut the tumor out and not leave you a vegetable for the rest of your life. Or we can put you on medication that you're going to be on for the rest of your life. And so option 1 was definitely off the table. There was no way I was going to risk leaving my wife with 4 little boys to raise and a vegetable husband. So I said, no way I'm going to do the surgery. So I guess I'll start on the medication. And he told me, great, we'll start you on the medication. Oh, and by the way, you might have some side effects of the medication, but that's okay because we have some other meds for the side effects of that. I know this story is starting to sound true, right? So I started on the meds, and about a year into doing the meds, I started I wasn't getting any better. I still had no energy, and so the doctor, and I started having the side effects, so now the doctor's put me on that second med. And so now I'm on 2 medications, And I said to myself at this time, I'm supposed to do this for another 40 or 50 years of my life. There's just no way that I'm going to be able to continue to do this. And so I decided that I was going to go back and research this tumor and see if there was something else that I could do to start fixing it. I remember the day, it was a Sunday after church, that I felt inspired to go up to the medical school library in town and start researching this tumor. And so I started digging into the journals and started reading all I could about this tumor. And about 6 months of research, I found out that I might be missing some key nutrients in my life that might make a difference. So I changed up my diet. I did the right testing to find out what was going on, and I started correcting the problem, all based on lab work. And within 6 months, I reduced that tumor by more than 50%. And the really cool thing was, on the blood work, my hormone levels all balanced back out to the normal where they needed to be. I got my energy levels back. I was off all my prescription meds. And what I really got was my life back. And I know that God guided me in the direction that I needed to go to find the solution to my problem. And I thank God every day because He guided me in the way I needed to go. Because of that experience in my own life, I started looking at patients coming into my chiropractic office a little bit different. Because not only were they coming in with neck pain and back pain and headaches, but they were also coming in because they had all kinds of other symptoms related to their diabetes or to their thyroid issue or their gut issue, their fibromyalgia, all these different things. And they weren't getting the answers. And that some patients were on 5, 10, 15, 20 different drugs and still not getting the answers that they were looking for. So I said there's got to be more that we can do for our patients. So I started going to seminars after seminars. I was following all kinds of different doctors all across the country. I was following medical doctors and osteopaths and homeopaths and naturopaths and chiropractors and acupuncturists. Anybody that was doing something different of what I call outside the box, I wanted to know what they were doing to help their patients get their lives back. And so now I have like 1,200 plus hours of continuing education and certificates and all kinds of things like science-based nutrition and functional blood chemistry and diabetes and thyroid issues and autoimmune problems, cellular inflammation, hormone disorders, genetics, and more. All these things, all this extra education is all because of you guys. Why did I do it? Because I wanted to help you guys get your health back. So I do it for patients like Mindy who had diabetes and thyroid issues. I do it for Ron who has diabetes and owned a roofing company, is about to lose his company because his diabetes was so out of control. I do it for other colleagues. Dr. Susan Berry was a colleague of mine that her medical doctors just weren't finding the answers for her. I do it for people like Dallas who had diabetes way out of control. I do it for Cassandra who's a homemaker and a caretaker for her aging parents and just had no energy to get through the day. Patients like these and hundreds of more are the reason why I do what I do, because I love being able to see you guys get your lives back. And one of the biggest reasons why I do what I do these days is because this little girl right here, this is my granddaughter Maddie, and Maddie is on the autism spectrum. And my new quest in life is to find answers for Maddie so that she can have a full and productive life. And I will tell you, things that we've been doing with Maddie for the last couple of years have totally changed her life. Where a couple of years ago she didn't talk at all. Now we can't get her to shut up. She just talks all day long. And I love being able to converse with her. And her life is changing. And that's why I really do what I do. So what are your guys' dreams? Why do you really want to get better? I want you to think about that, because when I talk with you the first time we meet, I'm going to ask you what your big why is. Why do you want to get better? And you have to have a big why. You know, maybe you have kids or grandkids that are counting on you, a spouse. Maybe there's things, you want to go climb Mount Everest or something like that. And you have these dreams, but your disease is limiting you and not allowing you to live your dreams. So I want you to think about your big why. And the reason I ask you to think about your big why is because of this rule we call the 3% rule. We know in healthcare that less than 3% of the population is willing to do whatever it takes to get their health back on track or to keep healthy. 3%. The other 97% are all looking for that magic pill that's just going to fix their problem, and they don't have to do anything. They don't have to put in any effort. And as I said in the beginning, I don't have a magic pill that just makes all this go away. Our programs all take a lot of work on the patient's part. But if you're willing to put in the work, you will succeed if we decide to take you on as a client. So you have to have a big why. You have to want to get your health back. If you're not quite a 3%er yet, if you're not willing to do whatever it takes to get your health back, at this point, you will be by the time we're done talking today, I promise you. So what is going on with diabetes? In the United States, we know it's a big, big problem. It's a big problem worldwide, but in the United States, 30 million Americans have diabetes. Another 89 million have prediabetes. In my office, there is no such thing as prediabetes. You either have it or you don't. It's like being a little bit pregnant. You either are or you're not. So if you have prediabetes, you're just in the first trimester of diabetes. You're just not bad enough yet that they're going to give you another drug, but they're in this let's watch it and see what happens type mode. We know that diabetes now is the third leading cause of death in the United States and a contributor to 6 of the top 10 others, such as heart disease, strokes, cancer, liver, and kidney disease. And now, in our day and age, 1/3 of our children born after the year 2000 are going to have diabetes in their lifetime. 1/3. That's getting worse and worse by the day, and they're just not finding the answers. So, you guys living with diabetes, you know these symptoms, and because you live with them every day. And this is while you're still on your medication. You still have all this stuff going on. You have the constant pain in your joints and in your muscles. You've got the weight gain despite starving yourself to death and exercising 20 hours a day. You don't sleep very well. You fall asleep in the middle of the day and you can't sleep at night. You guys have unpredictable blood sugars. One minute you're at 660 and the next minute you're at 400 and you didn't do anything different than you did the day before. You guys have no sex drive and you have sexual dysfunction. You guys have diarrhea, constipation, gut issues, heartburn, bloating, all these things going on with your gut. And then you got your numbness and burning in your feet and your hands. The neuropathy is kicking in. Maybe you have sores that aren't healing on your feet. Everybody tells me they have brain fog and memory problems. And everybody says they have no energy. Now, does this sound like you guys or what? Right? And you go into your doctors, you complain about all these things, but all they do is they adjust your diabetes meds and your blood pressure and your cholesterol meds and send you back out the door. And you're not getting any better. And this is frustrating because I know you guys live with this every day and you're just not getting those answers. So my favorite quote is this one, and I'll just kind of paraphrase it, but it says, I take metformin for the diabetes caused by the hydrochloride, I take for the high blood pressure, that I got from the Ambien because I can't sleep, that I got from the Xanax because I'm all stressed out, that I got from the Wellbutrin because I have chronic fatigue, that I got from the Lipitor because I have high cholesterol, because a healthy diet and exercise and superior nutritional supplements are just too much trouble. Now, does this sound like our American society or what? We are a pill-popping nation. We love our drugs so much that the United States is only 5% of the whole world's population, yet we consume over 75% of all the drugs. All the prescription drugs made in the whole world are consumed by 5% of the population. So you would think that we'd be the healthiest nation in the world, but the fact of the matter is we rank number 50 in lifespan, according to the World Health Organization. It's a broken system, and you guys know it. So how did you guys get to this point of where you're at right now with your diabetes? I'd like to kind of just walk you through the scenario of what really goes on in the diabetes world and why you guys are all sitting here today and having the same problems that every other diabetic is having. So let's say maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago you were having some symptoms, maybe you weren't even having any symptoms, and you go into your doctor and your doctor says, hey, we need to run some blood work on you. So you go out to the lab, you do the blood work, and the doctor's office calls you back up and says, hey, Dr. Brown found some things on the blood work. You need to come in and talk to him. And so you go into Dr. Brown and you sit down with him, and he says, there's some things on your blood work that are just not normal. Your glucose or your blood sugar is running like 150 right now, and your A1C, your hemoglobin A1C, which is a real long-term diabetes marker, is at 6.6. I hate to tell you this, but you're diabetic, and here's what you're going to need to do. We're going to give you a prescription. You're going to go pick up this monitor, this meter that's going to measure your glucose, and you're going to have to stick yourself with a needle every day and get a drop of blood and measure your glucose. And we're going to give you another prescription for some metformin, and you're going to need to change your diet. You need to exercise and lose weight, and I'll see you in 3 months. And it took him about that long to tell you that, and then he was out the door. Does this sound familiar? I know it does because I hear it every single day when we talk to you guys and how you got to this point where you're at. And so your doctor says, oh, and by the way, we're going to send you over to the dietitian, and they're going to teach you the diabetes diet, which is all about counting carbs. And I will tell you, as a side note here, if anybody follows this diet, this is the American Diabetes Association diet for diabetics. And if you follow this diet, you're guaranteed to stay a diabetic for life. This is the wrong diet for anybody, and especially somebody that is diabetic. So anyway, you go home, you change up your diet, you start exercising, and you can't lose any weight, and you're testing your glucose every day, and pretty soon you go back into your doctor 3 months later, and now your glucose is up to 300, and your A1C's gone up to 7.5, and the doctor says, well, that metformin didn't work, we're going to add another drug. And so they're going to give you another drug, Glipizide, Januvia, one of these other drugs. And this goes on for a while. Pretty soon, a couple of years later, sometimes 10 years later, whatever it might be, your glucoses are still running high. Maybe they're running in the 200 and 300 range. Your A1C is up to 10. You're on 2 or 3 diabetes meds now. And your doctor finally says, I'm sorry, we're going to have to put you on insulin. And once they get you on the insulin, there's no more tools in the tool bag. It's all about insulin and managing your diabetes. And what they're really watching is you continue to deteriorate and go downhill. This is the treatment model for treating diabetes. And the reason I can say that is because right here, this is directly out of the American Medical Guide for treating diabetes. This is what I call the cookbook recipe for treating diabetes. And it all starts with telling you, hey, you got to change your diet, exercise, and lose weight. And when that doesn't work, we're going to add the metformin. And when that doesn't work, we're going to add the second, and we're going to add the third drug. And then we're going to finally get you on the insulin. And then we're going to watch you just basically shrivel up and die. This is the model for treating diabetes, and it's so frustrating because it doesn't have to be this way. You can reverse your diabetes and get your health back, but you're never going to do it following this model of care. And the first thing I want you to understand about your docs is I don't blame your docs for the situations you guys are in, because they're just doing what they've been taught. This is what they've been taught, is this standard of care right here. And if they go outside this standard of care, they get their hands slapped by their board and told, you get back over there and do what you're supposed to do. So it takes a very brave doctor to go against this standard of care. I know, because I work with them all across the country, but those are the few and far between docs. So if you think about who teaches your doctors to be doctors, it's the medical schools, right? Who really funds the medical schools? It's the pharmaceutical industry. Do you think the pharmaceutical industry is interested in you guys getting healthy? There's no way, right? The day you got labeled diabetic and you got put into this system right here, you know, or they know, they hit the jackpot with you because they have a customer for life. Why would they ever want to fix that? There's just no way that the pharmaceutical industry wants you to get healthy. So I don't blame your docs. They're just doing what they've been taught, and they have to follow these rules, but it's never going to get you better. Maybe some of you guys are on insulin. If you guys are on insulin, I hope your doc told you the bad side effects of insulin, but I kind of doubt it. So this is directly out of one of the diabetes journals, but it talks about how when you add insulin to metformin, your chances of having a major cardiac event or heart attack, developing the first cancer, or dying jump by more than 30%. And if you're just doing insulin by itself, those same things are 80% increased risk. In addition to that, your chances of having kidney disease go up 350%. So as you're on all these diabetes medications, insulin, the metformin, the Januvia, the Glipizide, and all these different things, you still have all these complications going on underneath. You still are at risk for having amputations and nerve damage and kidney disease and cardiovascular disease and strokes and all these things because the drugs were never designed to fix the problem. All they're doing is trying to control your blood sugar, but all the underlying damage is still going on. So what is the real solution? The solution is really easy. You just have to get to the cause of the problem. There's only one problem. What is causing the problem? Well, it all depends on who you ask. Some people say it's genetics, and I will tell you genetics is a very small part of this whole thing. Everybody has diabetes genes in us. We all have cancer genes in us. The genes are not the problem. It's what's turning on the genes. That is the underlying problem. Some people say it's being overweight. I mean, I have skinny diabetics and I have fat diabetics and everything in between. I have really fat people that are not anywhere close to being diabetic and really skinny people that are full-blown diabetic. So it's not a weight thing. The weight is another symptom, but it is not the problem. Some people say it's a lack of insulin. I've had patients that were doing 200 units of insulin a day and they were still full-blown diabetics. Insulin is not the problem, or lack of. Actually, too much insulin is a big, big problem. And the truth is, when you get to the cause of the problem and you start fixing it, the body can heal itself. So what is that really big cause? The really big cause is what's known as inflammation. And inflammation has hit the mainstream media in the last few years, and we've been talking about for decades and decades, but inflammation is the big, big problem here. And the really big underlying problem is cellular inflammation. Cellular inflammation is the root cause of diabetes and most other chronic health problems. So when these cell inflammation problems get so big, depending on what part of the body it's affecting, you start getting inflammation in different organ systems. And when you get different inflammation in different organ systems, then they start putting labels on it. Things like cancer, or arthritis, or autoimmune disease, or diabetes, or Alzheimer's, or pulmonary disease. All these different things are all different labels for the same thing. It's inflammation at the cell level. Cellular inflammation is the big underlying cause of why you guys have diabetes and other health problems right now. So the million-dollar question comes down to what is causing the inflammation, right? If you can find out what's causing the inflammation, maybe you can do something about it and start fixing the problem. So there's several things that cause inflammation, things like infections, parasites and viruses and bacteria and mold and everything cause infections inside the body. A lot of the side effects of the medications that you guys are on, in fact, some of the main reasons you're on some of those medications is because of inflammation, right? But then you have the side effects which cause more and more inflammation in the body. There are hormone imbalances, your hormones, your thyroid hormones, your insulin, your sex hormones, your estrogen, your testosterone, your progesterone, your cortisol. All these different hormone imbalances will drive inflammation. And two things that you might not really think about, but are big drivers of inflammation. One is stress, and we're going to talk more about that. And the last one is what's known as leaky gut. Most of you have probably heard of leaky gut now. It's becoming more and more popular, but we're going to talk about these last two in particular today. So what are stressors? When I say stress, what do you guys think of? Emotional stress, right? And I will tell you emotional stress is huge because things like having babies and getting married and getting divorced and raising teenagers and losing a job and all these things, all these stressors that we have in our life every day are turning on bad genes and driving inflammation in the body. Two other stressors that we often don't think about are the physical stressors. What are we putting into our body? What kind of foods are we eating? Are we trying to eat more organic, or are we putting McDonald's and Burger King in our system every day? Those things are physical stressors. We had accidents or injuries. Are we exercising too much or too little or wrong kind? Have we had surgeries? All these different things are all physical stressors on the body. And the third one we often never think about are the chemical stressors. And I will tell you the chemical stressors are huge in addition to the physical and the emotional stressors, because all these stressors will turn on bad genes, which turns on inflammation at the cell level. So here's an example of what toxic stressors are like. And I could spend a whole hour just talking on this one slide right here, but things like herbicides and pesticides, the Roundup and the other things that we're all exposed to every day, toxic mold, heavy metals, plastics, the chemicals that are in our food, and our fluoride, our chlorine, our bromine, all these things are all in our society every single day. And it's chemicals like these that will drive symptoms like this. So if you see yourself on this list somewhere, it may not just be the diabetes. It may not just be, a bad gut. It may be other things like toxins that are contributing to some of these symptoms that you have going on. Leaky gut. You guys have heard the term leaky gut? Here's how I describe leaky gut to our patients. If you think of your gut as a 30-foot garden hose, and it's literally about 30 feet, it starts at your mouth and goes all the way through you and comes out the back end. And that garden hose is supposed to be, or that gut is supposed to be solid, just like a garden hose. Nothing gets through it except for water and the nutrients that your body needs to survive. Everything else stays in that garden hose and gets eliminated. What happens with a leaky gut is we start getting inflammation in our gut lining, and now that garden hose is turning into a soaker hose. You guys know what the soaker hoses are, those black hoses with the pinholes that they use in gardening? Well, that's literally what is happening inside your gut. You're getting physical pinholes in your gut lining, and now food and other things are getting out into your bloodstream that they're not supposed to. And when that Subway sandwich gets out into your bloodstream, your immune system goes crazy and says, whoa, what's the sandwich doing here? We got to kill it. And so it mounts this huge immune response to try and kill that sandwich. Well, if this goes on day after day after day, pretty soon you start having things like food intolerances, food allergies, and if that continues on longer and longer, then you start having what are known as autoimmune problems. And all this is because of that leaky gut. Other things are getting out into your gut, into your bloodstream that are not supposed to be. And so we start getting problems with leaky gut like this. Things like autoimmune diseases, allergies and diabetes and depression and cancer, all these things are all because of a leaky gut. And the biggest problem with an autoimmune disease is that once you have one autoimmune disease, your chances of getting a second, a third, and fourth autoimmune disease are now like 10 times greater. But they don't tell you that. They just say, hey, here's your autoimmune pill that's going to suppress your immune system, but they don't tell you that you're going to have more and more problems. This leaky gut problem is a huge, huge problem and a big reason why you guys are here today. I will tell you that 80 to 90% of type 2 diabetes has an autoimmune component to it. So what is the solution to the problem? The solution to the problem is this. I created after 30 years of working with people, what I call the dream solution. And so the dream solution includes discovering what the root causes of your health problems are, removing the inflammation and restoring cellular function, establishing good eating habits for you as an individual that are all customized for you, adapt a healthy gut microbiome, fix that leaky gut, get your body moving with the proper activity and exercise, and support healthy hormone balances. That's our dream solution. And when you achieve those dream solutions, you guys can start living your dreams again. Here's an example of one of our clients and the dreams that she is now living in her life.
Hi, I'm Lynette McCutcheon, and I'm here with Dr. Kelly. He's been a huge, monumental help to me to be healthier. I came in here 6 months ago with a lot of problems, diabetic, high blood pressure, on cholesterol medication, and he's helped me to learn how to eat better, take supplements that really help my health. I'm exercising, feeling so much better all the time. A couple of years ago, if I wanted to go to an event or something, I had to go in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk very far without being out of breath and just huffing and panting, not feeling well. Now I'm running around after my grandchildren all the time. I'm exercising every day, eating a healthy diet, and I feel great. I can't thank Dr. Kelly and his staff enough for everything they've done for me. I feel like a totally different person. I quit taking all of my diabetic medications. My diabetes is reversed, and I just feel better. I feel like I've added years and years to my life. I used to be scared that I was not going to live very long, see my grandkids grow up. Now I feel like I have a good long life ahead of me, and I feel wonderful about it.
So Lynette, as you heard, she's living her dreams again. She was afraid she wasn't going to be able to see her grandkids grow up. I will tell you, this video is a couple years old now. She is still thriving. She's got her life back. She runs on a treadmill 3 or 4 times a week. And when she started the program, she couldn't even hardly walk. She's living her dreams. And you guys can too if you get to the root of the problem. So how do we discover what's really going on? We have to find the right testing to find out what's really wrong with you. So as the nurse says, the doctor would like a stool sample, a urine sample, and a sperm sample. And the old man says, "What'd she say?" And his wife says, "They want your underwear, dear." Except for the sperm sample, this could be our office to a T. We have to do the right testing to find out what's really going on with you. If you guys take your car into the shop when the check engine light comes on, and you know there's something wrong, and the mechanic lifts the hood up and checks the oil level, pulls the dipstick out and checks the oil level, says, "Yep, that looks good." And he gets back into the car and says, "Hey, I can fix this. I'm just going to put a piece of tape over that check engine light." Has he really fixed the problem? He hasn't, right? He hasn't discovered what the root cause of the problem is, and so he's just put a band-aid over it. He's just put a drug over it to cover up a symptom. That doesn't fix the problem. When you start finding out what really your problems are, you have to do the right testing. So we do things like a comprehensive blood panel. When I say comprehensive, I mean really comprehensive. Our minimum panel that we run on everybody is a 74-point panel. It's 8 or 10 tubes of blood at the lab to get enough blood to do the testing that we need to do. And we don't stop there. We do expanded urine panels. We do hormone testing. We do autoimmune testing. We do heavy metal testing. We do stool testing. We do neurotransmitter testing. We do genetic testing. And there's more. And we can run all kinds of different tests to find out what's really going on with you. You have to do the right testing. Here's a sample of what our blood work looks like. When we get it back from the lab, we'll color code it for you so you can see in color what's really going on. And then I write all kinds of notes over it and explain it in English what's really going on with you. White is healthy, yellows are early warning signs that something's wrong, red is bad, and blue is a code blue, which is really, really bad. So as you can see, this patient, this is a real patient, her glucose was 354 the day we saw her, and her A1C was 15.7. Viewers that may not know this, A1C of 15.7 is diabetes out of control. That's somebody that is on the fast track to dying. And within a couple of months, we were able to start turning that around and drop her A1C more than 6 points in just 2 months and start fixing all her other problems also. Today, she is still thriving and not on any medications and has a normal, healthy life. This is a sample of a saliva test. With a saliva test, we're looking at a couple of hormones. One of those is known as cortisol. So you guys might know cortisol, you hear that as your body's stress hormone. But what you may not know about cortisol, if you're diabetic, you need to listen to this. Cortisol controls your insulin that controls your glucose. Let me say that again. Cortisol controls your insulin that controls your glucose. So every doctor in the world will test your glucose number. Once in a while they'll look at your insulin, but when's the last time you spit on a test tube or spit in test tubes 4 different times during one day to look at your cortisol levels? You're never going to get the diabetes under control if you have no idea what the cortisol is doing to the insulin that's trying to control the glucose. You have to do the right testing. And for cortisol, the gold standard is a saliva test. There's other hormones that we look at. You're like your estrogen, your testosterone, your progesterone, all these different things, because they are intimately involved not only in sex lives, but also in how well your body functions and manages your blood sugar and your other health problems. We do neurotransmitter testing. You may not know this, but in your gut, 90% of all the neurotransmitters, the chemicals that your brain needs to function, are made inside your gut. 90% are made in your gut. And if you have a bad gut, you're going to have a bad brain. You have to do the right testing to find out what's going on. We can do heavy metal testing, mercury and lead and arsenic and all these other heavy metals that are in our environment can wreak havoc on the body and never allow you to get fully healthy until we start addressing those heavy metal problems. And there's other tests that we can do, but it goes back to you have to discover the root causes of your health problems by doing the right testing. And then we can start creating a customized program for you. So as I said in the beginning, I don't have a cookie cutter program that we put everybody on. Everybody is individuals and we treat you as an individual. So we're going to teach you how to remove the inflammation and restore your cellular function, what you need to do for you. We're going to establish some customized eating habits that are customized for you based on what the labs tell us we need to be doing for you. We're going to teach you how to adapt a healthy gut microbiome. Start fixing that leaky gut. Hippocrates said 5,000 years ago that all disease begins in the gut, and I believe that. Your gut is crucial to your health. So we need to teach you how to fix your gut. We're going to teach you what you need to do to start moving your body with proper exercise and activity. And it's different for everybody. Somebody, I might teach them how to, run up a mountain. Somebody else will say, hey, you're going to just walk around the block until we get you doing better. Exercise is going to be different for each and every individual. And then the last one that's really crucial is supporting your healthy hormone balances. Getting those hormones in balance is crucial to getting your body healthy again. So what would it be worth to you guys to have the support that you need to get to the root cause of your health problems? To really dig and find the answers to your problems. What is causing the inflammation in you? What would it be worth to you guys to have a doctor and a team that looks beyond just the symptoms, but supports you, the person, the human being? Somebody that would take the time that it takes to really teach you what you need to do to get your health back. Our average visit time with an individual is like 30 to 45 minutes. It's not a 5-minute, hey, how are you? Here's your pill. See you in 3 months program. We spend the time it takes to really teach you what you need to be doing to get your health back and treat you as a human being. What would it be worth to get the answers and a plan to reclaim your health and achieve your dreams? I know you guys have dreams. I know you have things you want to do in life, and this disease is just stopping you in your tracks. Think about that. What are your dreams? What do you really want to do as you watch this last little clip?
What will your last 10 years look like? Will you be quick enough for a game of tag with your grandchild? Strong enough to embrace every moment? Will you grow old with vitality? Or get old with disease? It's time to decide.
As you can see, you have all the power here to decide if your last 10, 15, 20, 30 years, whatever it might be, are going to be years full of vitality and health or years of sickness and disease. And only you can decide that. Your kids can't decide that for you. Your spouse can't decide that for you. Your doctor really can't decide that for you. Only you can decide, is my health my number one priority? Am I one of those 3%ers? Am I willing to do whatever it takes to get my health back on track and start living my dreams? If you are one of those 3%ers, then let's get you qualified to work with us. Just so you know, we don't work with every single person that comes to us. We're very picky about who we choose to work with. I will only work with 3%ers, those that I know that I can help and those that are willing to put in the work. So our qualification process goes like this. We're going to do an initial consultation and health history with you. We're going to do this either over the phone or via web conferencing. And we're going to sit down with you just as if you were sitting here in person in my office and go through your case history and figure out what we need to do to start looking for the answers to your inflammation and start getting you the help that you need. We're going to review any past lab work that you have had done by your other doctors. I can't tell you how many times I look at people's blood work and your doctors aren't telling you the whole story. They're not telling you about the chronic kidney disease or the fatty liver disease or a million other things that are going on because they're all concerned about what your glucose number is, and what your A1C number is, and what your cholesterol number is. We're going to look at those labs and show you what your doctors aren't telling you. Then we're going to determine any other testing that we need to do, whether it's a saliva test or a blood test or a heavy metal test or whatever it is. We're going to figure out what other labs that we need to do to get a full picture of what's going on with you. Once we get the lab work back, we're going to set up a follow-up appointment with you to go over those test results, and we'll take the time that it really takes to explain what's really on those labs and what your underlying issues are. And then we're going to talk about a game plan for you to start addressing these underlying issues of what's driving the cell inflammation in you and what it's going to take to get you your health back. We charge $597 for our initial consultation process. Because you're on this webinar today, my gift to you is your investment of $147 is going to get you on track to finding out what's really wrong with you and an action plan to start addressing the underlying issues. I hope your life is worth $147. I hope you're ready to move forward. If you are one of those 3%ers and you're ready to move forward, your next step is we're going to get you qualified to work with us. And this is a no-risk offer, because if after our initial consultation I decide that we're not a good fit for each other, I'm going to refund your investment. No questions, guaranteed, because I only want to work with those that I know I can help and those that truly have their health as their number one priority. So this really is a no-risk offer for you. In addition, if you sign up today, in the next 24 hours, we're going to give you $150 off any coaching program as a bonus. So this literally is a no-risk offer for you. If I don't think I can work with you, we'll refund your initial investment. If we do work with you, you're going to get $150 off any program that we set up for you. And so it costs you literally nothing to get started. So I encourage you to start today. Click on the button that's associated with this webinar, and let's get you going. If you don't see a button, I know that Apple products like iPads and iPods, they don't have buttons associated with this webinar. So you can go directly to drkellysignup.com and start the process. It will walk you through all the steps that you need to go through to set up your own appointment, to get the paperwork that you'll need to fill out. Everything is all automated for you. Very easy to do. So I welcome you to our family. Go right now, click on the button, or go to drkellysignup.com, and let's get you started on living your dreams.